the productive expense. This is my number one reason why budgeting can become detrimental. Let's say you're putting a dollar into something in your business and it's producing $3. What's your budget? There is no budget.
Unlimited.
A dollar until you can't fulfill the demand or it starts to diminish in return. So people ask, what's the marketing budget for a company? I'm like, I don't know. It should be a daily measurement to see if you should add more or change or modify the program because it's not still producing at the same level. You pulled up Parkinson's law right there. So let's just address this right out the beginning. Because if we don't understand this, then this is where that entrepreneurial treadmill can get people into trouble, where they think making more money is always a solution. But if we don't keep more of what we make, I think part of the initiative is, how do you take business wealth and transfer it to personal wealth without robbing the momentum of the business, right? So keeping personal wealth, but not robbing the momentum of the business. So Parkinson's law is this theory that started out where this guy with the last name Parkinson's was like, hey, I'm going to study business and give employees things to do. And he'd tell them he wanted it done Friday by 5 o'clock and they'd start working on it Friday at 4:30. So it's just that, the time and space would kind of like expand if there wasn't a specific structure to it. So then he decided, well, let's study this in money. So when people had their expenses increased to meet or exceed that increase if they didn't have a structure. So Parkinson's law, the way that we deal with it and defeat it is automated infrastructure. Automatically, when you take money and pay yourself, you pay yourself first, and the goal is 18%. Now, that's not business revenue. This is personal income, and I'm going to show you how to at least today get 10 of the 18% immediately, because it's money that's being lost to taxes and interest and other aspects like that. But when you pay yourself first, it's just a checking account, a savings account, or a money market. It's just automation of something going in. Some people have bastardized this and they say automatic savings, and then they put it into a retirement plan. For you Canadians, the RSP, or for the Americans, the IRAs, but there's plans all over the world that are these government-sponsored plans that have restrictions, and they're typically invested with volatility, typically in the stock market. That's not savings. That's investing. I want you to automate your savings, and I want you to build up at least 6 months of staying power on the personal side where you have a peace of mind fund, knowing that if there's a health challenge or a family issue or a cash flow crunch, you're not going to have to borrow money or put yourself in harm's way by chasing bad profits because you've got enough liquidity that's set aside. So the 18%, let me just break it down really fast.
And Garrett, let me know if I'm supposed to write something on the graph here on the left side or bottom there.
Okay. The 3%, the first 3% is for inflation. And look, that's low. Inflation's going to be higher than that. We've got governments putting trillions of dollars in the economy. Inflation's going to be a bitch. The second 3% is for tax hikes, right? There's tax fluctuations. Like in the United States, from 1944 to 1981, the brackets were above 50%. So I think there's a high chance that we have tax hikes. Another 3% is for planned obsolescence. Things break down, we have to replace them. So this is justifying why 18%. The next 3% is for technological change. I mean, you guys are SaaS. You understand technological change. There's things being invented that we now use and become a necessity that didn't even exist before, and that's just going to increase at a much bigger rate in the future. Then we have another 3% for propensity to consume. I'll say this really easily. A luxury once enjoyed becomes a necessity.
I use that with my wife all the time. That right there. People write that in the chat. A luxury once enjoyed becomes a necessity. That's my kids. So good.
Yeah, and that's quality of life in a lot of ways too. So I grew up in motels, didn't know the difference, but now I can't go back, man. I just can't go back, Like I just finished my Intelligentsia coffee. I can't go back to Folgers, that my family drinks. So that's a luxury once enjoyed becomes a necessity. So that's 15%. Now, don't feel alarmed. Like, I don't want you to scrimp and save and sacrifice and budget to get to that 15%. I'm going to show you the financial efficiency, but I think you'll like the last 3%, and it's separate. So you wrote that just right, Dan. The last 3% is your living wealthy account. And it's not limited to 3%, but it's got to be a minimum of 3% that it goes into things that you want to enjoy in life. Value-based spending, things that you're just doing for the fun of it, right? Maybe you like nice clothes, nice wine, okay, cars, you're not going to be able to afford off 3% unless you got some substantial income. But at the same time, it's just those things that you really enjoy. We had this client that's now a billionaire. I don't love working with billionaires, just FYI. That's not our clientele. We like to help entrepreneurs that have most of their money tied up in their business. But I remember when he was at $500 million, one of the major jumps for him is he never had any quality of life. It was all reinvested in the business. It was like never enjoying it. And so I found this strategy where I was going to give him 150 grand a month. It was just simply buying inventory on an American Express Plum card. So nothing too genius, but I wouldn't tell him about it until he promised me he'd set up a Living Wealthy account and take $15,000 a month of this money I was saving him to just spend on himself. And remember him saying this, Dan, he goes, well, I don't really know what I'd spend it on. And I go, well, if you're asking, let me be so bold as to make some suggestions.
What did you say, Garrett?
I told him, I said, dude, I saw you on TV the other day. It's time to upgrade the wardrobe. You can get rid of the 2 things that you wear every time. We could give it to the homeless, but I don't want them to be felt too bad for. They're that bad. I'm like, hell, they might come back into style one day. But we actually got him a Nordstrom shopper. And he went to Nordstrom and he was like, oh my God, there's different collars to shirts and there's wrinkles. He actually got so excited. So 15 grand he spent. But then I visited him 3 months later. Now he was buying amazing sound systems for his house. He got a Nest system for his house to control the temperature. He started buying guns. I mean, every billionaire needs guns, if you're going to live in America. I don't know. So Living Wealthy account is just something to reward yourself, to remind yourself you're not cutting back. This isn't about a budget. It's about enjoying life along the way.
So it's not abundance? Does that sound like abundance?
That is abundance, yes.
That's what we're talking about. We're teaching ourselves. Yep. A lot of us talked about scarcity versus abundance. 3% dedicated, designed to help you develop that muscle. Garrett, I know everybody's wondering what goes in these lines, because if we don't fill it out, their brains will just...
Okay. Where are
on the left side? The Parkinson's law, left and Y axis.
Okay. So on the left side, that's the increase in income.
Increase income. Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And underneath. And
on the other side, yeah, I mean, dude, you guys have gone all out at building these kind of things. So what's going to happen is
that's over time.
Yeah, and over time on the other side shows how much they're actually going to keep of that. So you see, they'll keep more initially, but then they'll just spend the living hell out of it because there's no plan for it.
Bad. No plan. Got it. Well, let's roll into living within your means. I mean, Garrett, should we talk about kind of what does it mean for you from a CEO, from your point of view? Like, I remember when you did the talk at camp and you said, here are my rules about like cash flow. And I don't know where that's going to show up, but I definitely think that was an idea that resonated with me.
Yeah, I've got those that I'll definitely cover and summarize it. Let me talk about living within your means, because I'm sure someone's condescendingly told you to live within your means, especially being an entrepreneur and business owner. And here's the deal. Living within your means, if it means cutting back, that reductionist thinking will crowd out production. Reduction instead of production is a problem. So people that have to budget are people that spend more than what they make, or they're a train wreck, or they have no upside potential because they're in a dead-end career. So one way you can live within your means is to budget, but there's 2 other more effective ways to live within your means. The second way to live within your means is to be more efficient. This is the 4 I's of efficiency. Number 1 is the IRS. And I know we have people outside of the United States, but you know what I mean. It's about, saving on tax. The second I is interest. There's 3 R's that can help you to minimize what you pay on interest and maximize what you earn. The third thing is investments. There's a lot of hidden fees. There's a lot of, unnecessary commission and even losses that people have by not protecting the downside. So this is another way you can keep more of what you make being efficient. And the 4th I is insurance. A lot of duplicate coverages and improper structure. And, I'll give you plenty of resources. And
I saved a lot of money on that one. You told me that, and I went back and looked at all my policies for my real estate and my personal stuff. And I ended up getting a umbrella policy, thanks to you. Yep. Saved me a ton of money.
Yeah. So we'll be doing a Q&A, and I'll make sure to give plenty of resources with these arenas, because I know I'm covering a lot, but I want to give some depth to it as far as the pragmatic aspects so that you could implement it. But the third way to live within your means is to expand your means. It's to add more value. It's to impact more people. It's to, scale what you're up to. Like, it's expansion and it's production over reduction. So it's a very abundant methodology. Now, we're entering interesting times. And so I want to be careful, because a lot of your financial professionals, even if your business is exponentially growing because you're in software, they get in this trap where they don't differentiate expenses. And there's 4 types of expenses. The first expense is a destructive expense. A destructive expense is something that if you borrow to consume, you don't have the money, you borrow, you don't have an asset that creates cash flow, that's destructive. Heroin, stay away from heroin, Dan. I've heard it's a really bad thing, so that would be a destructive expense.
I heard the same, so we're on the same page, yeah.
The second type of expense is the lifestyle expense. This is, just pay cash for lifestyle expenses. Everything from, food and shelter, utilities, even the entertainment that you enjoy. It's just, don't borrow to consume. That's the main rule with that. The third type of expense is a protective expense. And this is really addressing building up liquidity, having the right legal structures for your business. It's about transferring risk with the right insurance. And the one that's most underemphasized in the protective expense is your own personal mindset and education, so that you're protecting how you produce. Because if you ever get stuck in this trap where a well-intentioned family, friends, preachers, and teachers get you to think that you're part of the masses of society, and that you should then take those types of initiatives and implement
all
them,
that
right?
Stuff. Yeah. Everybody, right mindset in the chat if that's resonating with you, that we're looking for production, not reduction type mindset, because being protective is we're protecting our mindset.
Number 4 is the productive expense. This is my number 1 reason why budgeting can become detrimental. Let's say you're putting $1 into something in your business and it's producing $3. What's your budget? There is no budget.
Unlimited.
$1 until you can't fulfill the demand, or it starts to diminish in return. So people ask, what's the marketing budget for a company? I'm like, I don't know. It should be a daily measurement to see if you should add more or change or modify the program, because it's not still producing at the same level. And so productive expenses, you put in $1, more than $1 comes out. The right employee could be that, right? The right insight or knowledge, like hopefully right here, what we're doing here today with the SaaS Academy, like productive expenses. So I think it's important to differentiate the 4 and even look at your finances. I have a process called mindful cash management, which means on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, get one other person that's an accountability partner, and you're going to spend 5 to 10 minutes, no more than 10 minutes, looking at the flows of your money. And once a month, you're going to say, is there anything destructive to eliminate? Am I managing my lifestyle expenses well? Have I addressed all my protective expenses? And is there anywhere we should increase because it's a productive expense? And you simply look at where your money's going. And if you paid yourself first, and then you haven't gone out of bounds, meaning you haven't borrowed more than what's come in, and then you paid yourself first, you're just free to spend what's left over. And as long as you stay within bounds, you don't have to rack your brain in budgeting. Budgeting is a middle-class tool that is failing 92% of the time based upon the newest statistics. It takes a really special type of personality to actually make it work. And that personality is someone you should hire, not someone that you should be. And that absolutely creates a new level of freedom.
Want to master your money? Want to figure out the things that you could do to improve your finances? Click here and check out more videos like this on Money Matters.